Hello and welcome back, or welcome. I am book lover Lorna and it's time for my October wrap up. So the books that I read in October, we had a very good month. I managed to read 12 books. Ace, absolutely fantastic, very happy with that. They weren't all the books that I planned to read, but I still read like the number that I wanted to read, so that's fine. Also, sorry for this look and the fact I'm wearing a scarf. I'm doing this before I go to work and I'm very cold. So, you know, comfort first always. So I'll be honest, I'm not tip-top health right now. I'm sick. So so I can't remember half these books right now because my brain is just like mashed potato. So I'm going to do a lot of reading of my reviews that I wrote at the time. So first book that I read in October was The Yearbook by Holly Bourne. Now I gave it 4 stars and I thought, like, I'm very up and down with her books, to be honest. And I either like think they're good or I think they're absolutely shocking. This one was a good one. I gave it 4 stars, like I just said. I would have given it 5 if it wasn't for like a thrown in romance element at the end, which I just didn't think the book needed. There's a lot of elements kind of and themes crammed into it, which is not necessary. But like I kind of get, like, I know Holly's writing style, trying to talk about problematic issues and stuff like that. I didn't need all of the themes that it had in it. That's why, like, I think the romance at the end just wasn't necessary. Like, it didn't need to be in there. I think that was kind of all I had to say about that one. It flowed well. Yeah, that was the only issue. Like, there was just a few too many themes in there, but I still gave it a 4 star. Now, the next book that I read, I think the next one was Lone Wolf. Yes, it was. Next one was Lone Wolf by Jodie Peacock. One of my Jodie Peacock rereads. Obviously, this is the second time I've read this because I'm doing a rereading season at the moment. I gave it 3 stars. In 2015, I originally gave it 4 stars. So I have gone down, but I didn't write a review. I didn't write reviews then. I've only started doing that this year. So I don't know why I gave it 4 stars. Like, what was my reason? Who knows what 2015 Lorna had on her mind? I don't know. So I think the issue with this one is that there are a lot of people who dislike it. That's because they're comparing it to other Jodie books. And compared to other Jodie books, it's not the strongest, but it's not the worst at the same time. I think Luke's parts, so the like kind of main man who's in a coma, his kind of like flashback parts, they're boring. I skim read them. Like about halfway through, I probably didn't read his parts. I didn't find them intriguing at all. But if you were to have this book on its own and not compare it to the rest of Jodie books, it would be okay. But when you're comparing it to kind of the strength of some of her other books, it's not good. Or not ideal. So I think that's why a lot of people dislike this book. And I did give it 3 stars because obviously, like, I skim read parts of it and I can't give a book behind that if I'm so bored that I'm not reading sections. But yeah, that one was okay. It was okay. Next, I read The Summer of Chasing Dreams by Holly Martin. This one I gave 5 stars. I absolutely, like, adored this. So this one essentially was about a woman who, her mum has passed away and her mum was kind of like an adventurer and stuff, like she loved to do things, but then she had her little girl and she was like, you know, had to change her life a bit. So this woman is now older, her mum has passed away and she wants to kind of live out her mum's dreams. So she goes to like a round the world trip agency thing and tries to hire someone to basically like go on the trip with her, and it ends up being this like moody guy called Thor. Obviously a love story. It's really nice. It's literally such an enjoyable read. A lovely romance. I'd love to see more of these characters, but it is a standalone book. But yeah, 5 stars for that one. Thoroughly enjoyed. Next, I read Try Not to Breathe by Holly Seddon. Thoroughly enjoyed this one. I gave this 4 stars. I picked this up because I read The Hit List last year. Was it last year? Yeah, it must have been last year now. And I really enjoyed it. So I thought, oh, maybe I'm a bit of a fan of Holly Seddon. This was a really good psychological thriller. Essentially, this woman is a journalist. Oh, I'm dropping books. Oh. I've got on really shiny trousers for here. Everything's just slipping. Slippy trousers. This woman is a journalist and she goes to a coma ward to kind of do a piece on like people who are like literally living in hospital because they're in a coma. And she recognised this one woman from like the news like 15 years ago or something like that. And it's this woman who, well, she was a teenager at the time. She's still in a coma, and it's about the story of this journalist is like, I remember her being on the news, like she got kidnapped and stuff, and abused, and she's trying to like kind of find out what happened. So I really liked this. It was very interesting. Obviously don't really like the storyline, but it's a very interesting, good read. I definitely recommend it as like a very easy read psychological thriller. Like I think I read it in like a day, or like what equivalent to like 4 or 6 hours or something. It didn't take me very long, but really, really enjoyed that one. I've just dropped my phone on the floor, that can stay down there. So the next one that I read was Destination Wedding by Dick Shabasu. I read this as part of the Comedy Women in Print Prize Award. If you want to know more about this book, watch that video when it's out. I'm basically doing a reading vlog of reading all of those books. I didn't like this. I gave it 1 star. If I could give it 0 stars, I would have. This just didn't deserve a place on that list. Like, I just found it really bad. It wasn't funny. I skim rated like from 50% onwards because yeah, it was not good. Like the writing was, yeah, I wouldn't recommend reading that book. The next book that I finished in October was Dial A for Aunties by Jessie Sutanto. Now this was a Comedy Women in Print Prize Award book, and I listened to it as an audiobook and I absolutely loved it. I literally cannot recommend it more, particularly if you like audiobooks. Obviously can't talk about it in kind of a physical format because I didn't read it like that, but it comes across so bloody well as an audiobook. It is so funny. Like, I've never read nor listened to such a funny book. Like, I literally, it was so entertaining. Really, it was like an entertaining piece. It was a masterpiece. It's essentially about, that's like my favourite phrase. It was about this woman, and she's got these aunties, and it's mayhem. They're basically wedding planners. I can't explain it without like giving away the story. It's funny. It's funny. If you like kind of like a little bit of a it's not even tongue-in-cheek. It's just literally funny. Like, it's diabolically funny. Is that the right phrase? I don't know if that's the right phrase. It's so entertaining. Like, please go and listen to it because I just absolutely loved it. Okay, so then the next one I finished was another, oh no, this wasn't a Comedy Women in Print Prize Award, but this was on the long list. Exciting Times by Nisha Dolan. I think I'm pronouncing that right now. I had a whole thing of pronouncing that incorrectly. This was bad. Yeah, I gave it 2 stars. Like, the comedy part of it, like the funny part, just wasn't funny. Like, it was so sarcastic, which just doesn't come across well on paper. Like, it was so like, it was dull humour. It's like dry humour. Like, it was just like, you know, like, it's like when you're telling a joke, but you're telling it in like this voice, and like, it's just not funny because you're using the wrong tone of voice. Like, it's, you know, do you know what I mean? Yeah, 2 stars. Didn't enjoy that. I read it in like 3 hours. Was not for me. Was not for me, that one. Next, in the month of October, I read Vanishing Acts by Jodie Peacock, another Jodie Peacock reread. The first time I read this one, I gave it 4 stars, whenever that was. This time I've dropped it to 3. As far as like her books go, pretty much a mediocre one. The storyline kind of keeps you gripped. It's very interesting, but there are a few parts where I was like, this is unnecessary. Like, we don't need this side story or like extra information. So yeah, like, you know, it's an okay one. I gave that 3 stars. Next thing I read was a graphic novel for obviously, like, you know, Halloween purposes. Now this one, I only ordered this because I saw someone else reading it and I was like, oh, like, the colours inside are like so autumnal, like it's just proper autumn vibes. So yeah, just autumn vibes. So enjoyed this. I gave it 4 stars. I usually end up giving graphic novels 5, so dropped a little bit. It was okay. Like, it was very, very predictable. The illustrations are beautiful. That's definitely the best part. The storyline was just a little bit predictable, but that can sometimes be the case. That's fine. But yeah, 4 stars for that one. Now the next one that I read was a NetGalley arc called Stepping Up by Sarah Turner. Now, I absolutely loved this book. I didn't read the synopsis going into it, and I thoroughly loved it. It's essentially about this woman who, she's kind of not really growing up in life. She's kind of living an adult life, but not seriously. Her sister and brother-in-law die in a car accident, and she ends up being the sole carer for their 2 young children. Well, one's a teenager, one's a young child. And it's the story of that, and that was not the storyline that I was expecting, because I didn't read the blurb. I just thought it was going to be like a romance or something. But I didn't obviously think about the fact it's called Stepping Up. It was an amazing, amazing book. What did I write about it? You'll like this if you like a bit of a hard-hitting story. Kind of a real life, this could happen, you know, kind of thing that's a bit tough. I just thoroughly enjoyed it. How many times today? I'm obviously not awake. I'm just going, sorry. I do apologise. And I bet you haven't noticed it up until this point, and now you're going to notice it, and it's really going to annoy you. So, 5 stars for Stepping Up. Thoroughly good book. Really enjoyed that. The next one that I read was The 24-Hour Cafe by Libby Page. Now, I read this because I really enjoyed the Lido, and I was like, I'm going to enjoy other Libby Page books. I didn't really enjoy this one. I gave it 3 stars, and it just wasn't suited to my taste. I didn't like how many characters there were. It felt really messy. It was just very jumpy. I don't really like how it's kind of like all in one place, because some books are set in all in one place. It doesn't feel like it, but that really did. Like, I felt like it was very, very repetitive. So that wasn't really for me. I was just disappointed. So I don't really know why I gave it 3 stars. Maybe I should have given it 2. There was a bit too much background I've written for what was actually needed as well. Yeah, 3 stars. I think I'm going to stick with my 3 stars. I can see how it could be, some people could enjoy it, but it just wasn't the best one for me. The last book I read in the month of October was In the Dark by Cara Hunter. This is the second in the D.I. Adam Fawley detective series. I really enjoyed this one. I didn't think it was as good as Close to Home, but it was still like quite strong. I just got to the end and I was like, oh, like really? Is that the ending? Oh, kind of, you know, kind of see it coming as it happened, but a bit random. I don't know if they picked the best kind of criminal. Like, I wish it was a different person who'd done it. Who done the crime. So, yeah, I think I would have picked a slightly different ending. Potentially that's why I've given it 4 stars, and I'm not entirely convinced. It was definitely not as good as Close to Home. But it was still quite enjoyable as crime reads go. So the next one will be, I think the next one is No Way Out. I'm not sure if I've got all of the books now or not. Is there 5 or 6 in the series? I think it might be 5, so I think we might have all of them now. But my partner also read this one and also said the same, that it was enjoyable, but not as good as Close to Home. So, you know, as part of the series, still a strong book, just not as strong as the other one that we've read. So yeah, that was all of my books that I read in October. Very good month. We've done relatively well, like quite a lot of 4 stars really. A couple of like 1 star, 2 star. They were. But yeah, I guess you're going to have that when you read a lot of books in a month. So what can you do? What can you do? I haven't done any reading so far this month for November. So we're only a few days in, but I've got to get that kind of, you know, I've got to do a U-turn on that. Not been very well. So we're gonna, you know, now that the room is like not spinning anymore, might be able to sit down with a book, which would be absolutely fantastic. So yeah, let me know if you've read any of those books and if you agree with my thoughts on them. I'd be very interested to know. I'd really be interested to speak to people who've read Exciting Times and Destination Wedding, because I feel like it's not just me. I feel like it wouldn't just be me who would dislike those. So yeah, let me know down in the comment section what your thoughts are on those books, or if you want to pick any of them up. My best recommendations for the month: Holly Martin's Summer of Chasing Dreams and Try Not to Breathe by Holly Seddon. They'd probably be my biggest recommendations of the month. Those are the 2 books that I would say I enjoyed the most, I think. I'm trying to think if I've forgotten any. I can't quite see them all in my pile. Anyway, I will wrap up this video now. So thank you very much for watching. Happy reading, and I'll see you all soon. Bye!